Guys, this video, if you haven't tried it yet, this is the video you've got to watch all the way to the end, because this is going to be a special one, especially if you own the C32s. You can also try it on with different cars, but mostly the C32, I kid you not, this is night and day difference, so stay tuned. Alright you guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the Sprint Booster. So we've got the Sprint Booster and we've got the Pedal Commander. If you guys are familiar with the Pedal Commander, it's actually such a great tool to use if you're looking for more, I want to say, a little bit more edge to your driving style. You guys already know I tried the Sprint Booster with the CLK 500. It was night and day difference. The 32 here, I did end up installing a Sprint Booster on here, tried it out, and I was like, okay, I gotta make a video on this so you guys can try it out yourself. You guys might already know or would say the throttle response isn't as how you would want it to be. You gotta give it a little bit more throttle before it downshifts, before you can feel the boost. But Sprint Booster, after installing on here, game changer. The car feels completely different. It feels like you've just added like another 30 horsepower to it. But honestly, this doesn't add any power, but you get to experience just the full power of the car without having to feel that sluggish feel whenever you give it that throttle. And sometimes you got to give it more throttle for it to downshift, for you to feel the boost and all that. This, it's instant. I know maybe some of you went with a fixed pulley just to feel that instant power versus the clutch pulley. If you're still clutched, well, I'm not clutched yet, I would have to test it out. But when I used to be clutch and went to a fixed pulley, I could feel that instant power right away, and I got used to it. So I'm yet to test it out with a clutch pulley. But if you guys are debating on the reason to switch to the fixed pulley just because you want to feel that instant power, you can actually use a Sprint Booster with a clutch pulley. It's gonna feel exactly like a fixed pulley, if not even better. These blowers are not meant to be on a fixed pulley. Let's hop into the car real quick. I've driven it a few times and my reactions were crazy. So hopefully I can still get that reaction going once we hop into the car. But before we hop into it, I want to give you guys some exhaust sounds, a few revs. It sounds so good. So instant. I love it. Wow. Yeah, the Sprint Booster, man, guys, if you're looking for that, you know, just that spark with your throttle response on this car, you won't be disappointed. I think it's worth the cost, honestly. Worth it, guys. Look at that, it just downshifted right away with just a little bit of some throttle. Sometimes, I don't know, maybe you guys experience it, but hopefully, I don't know if it's just my car, but or if it's all of these cars. But sometimes when you try and get on it, it just stays in that higher gear, and you can just hear the supercharger whining and trying to build boost until like it's hitting higher RPMs. Then you can like really feel the power. This, you give it a little bit of some throttle, and boom, it downshifts for you, and it's going. You don't have to waste time downshifting with the shifter right here. Yes. It's ridiculous. And you guys can look up more on what the sprint booster does. If you go on their website, they explain everything. So pretty much like your throttle responds with your foot with just the stock car is not as responsive versus the sprint booster. It's instant. Just a little touch to the pedal opens up the throttle body. And the other cool thing about the sprint booster is with these stock, you know, throttle bodies, when you give it the full beans, the throttle body actually doesn't open up 100%. With the sprint booster, it opens it. It's like, hey, free airflow, go. So that's one of the cool things about the sprint booster, which it makes it feel like the car has added power, but it doesn't really. I mean, the more airflow is going in, you know, the more boost you be building. But then again, you would feel like it's adding power, but it's not really. But it just gives you that full responsiveness of the amount of power the car has. I'm sure a lot of you guys know about the sprint booster, and I haven't seen any C32 owners try it out. I figured I'll make a video on it so you guys can actually hear my experience with the sprint booster with the 32s, and night and day. 100% recommend. The sprint booster is actually pretty easy to install. In the package, it comes with the actual controller, and at the end of the wire on the controller has a white connection. That white connection connects to the wiring harness that comes with a sprint booster. So that actually plugs into the wiring harness, and when you remove the throttle, you can see a connection, the wiring connection. Go ahead and unplug that, and the wiring harness from the sprint booster, you would plug it into the throttle connection, and then at the end of the wiring harness, you would plug it into the wire that you unplugged from the throttle. And then that's pretty much it for the install, and just button everything back up and you're all good to go. You can test out the different modes whenever you get it all hooked up onto your car. It can be on the dash. I have mine just right beside me right here, so it's an easy click of a button, and it's kind of like hidden also, so I like it that way.